everyone. Happy Friday. It is super dreary here today in Charleston, so I hope it is bright and sunny where you're at today. I am excited to pop on. Today we are talking about the fourth part of the home buyer guide, or the steps to get to the closing table. So last week we talked about the really fun part, which were the showings. We go out, we look at the houses. And so today we're talking about what happens when you found the one. So we've been out looking, you found the one, the house. Now what do we do? So this is when we work together with you to write an offer, and that can be done either on paper and pencil, on paper or electronically. So it can be done either way. We can either sit down and go through the contract together, or we can go through it together online. So either way works. There are multiple components to writing an offer. So a lot of people, I think, first just think of, you're asking the list price and then what you're going to offer. But there are so many other terms that go in to an offer, which we'll get into in a second. But when we sit down and we look at writing that offer to submit to the listing agent, for her to submit and present to the sellers, we're looking at a couple different factors. We're looking at how long has the house been on the market, which usually in this market right now, it's pretty short days on market. So we're looking at how long has the house been on the market, what are the neighborhood comparable sales that have happened in the last month to 6 months to a year. We look at all of that. We look at the area comparable sales, so not just in that neighborhood, but what is going on in the greater part of that area. We look at the condition of the home, and we look at if it's a multiple offer situation, so if the seller is considering multiple offers at once. So lots of different factors that go into actually writing an offer and kind of how to get there. And then once we look at all those factors and determine your offer price that we put on there, there are other things on an offer to also talk about. And I will say, with the market the way it is right now with low inventory, we do have a couple tricks up our sleeve, if you will, that we use for our buyers in multiple offer situations. I will give you just one of them, and it might be a more obvious thing, but when looking at an offer in a multiple offer situation, it's not just the purchase price that matters. There might be other factors that are super important to those sellers. Maybe they just had a newborn and they don't want to be out of their house in 30 days and they need like 60 days to move, and you can give them those 60 days to move. So we look at timing of closing. That could be a really big factor for sellers. We also look at a due diligence period versus a repair procedure. Those could be really important to the seller as well, and the timeline of that. We look at any other contingencies or any other special requests that you might be asking for as the buyer. So we put any of those in there. A couple other things that might be important to the seller is your amount of earnest money. So there are different things to look at that you can strengthen in your offer in a multiple offer situation other than just the purchase price. So as your realtor, when we write that, we go through all of those factors and contingencies with you as we're putting together the offer. Another thing to look at is a financial contingency. Are you obtaining financing, and that is a contingency of the contractor? Are you purchasing the home with cash, and that's not a contingency? So there's lots of different things to look at that go into an offer, and I think, like I said in the beginning, buyers just think about their offer price, but there are lots of other factors in that offer that can be super important to the seller. So you want to make sure you're really looking at all of that kind of as a package. So once we submit the offer, The listing agent will submit it to the seller. We always put an expiration date on there so that we hear back by that time. And then as the seller has three options of what they're going to do with that offer. They will either accept the offer as is, they will give us a counter offer, which means they are changing certain terms, or just one term. And the last option is for them to just reject the offer. So they would just say, we are rejecting this offer flat out. So those are kind of the three options that the seller has. And then from there, depending on what we get back from the seller, we're either under contract if they accept our offer, as is with all terms, and we receive the signed ratified contract back. We negotiate back and forth with them. If we receive, a counter offer back, we speak with you about those terms, and we figure out what is best for you and how to respond. And then if they reject the offer altogether, there's a couple different things we can do there that we'll get into more if that is the situation with you. So anyway, I hope you guys have a great weekend. If you do have any questions about this part of submitting and negotiating an offer, please let us know. We would love to help you in your home search process if you need help. And I hope everyone has a good weekend.